And I wanted you because you made a big difference in my life, and you made a big difference for me and people in my life. And I'm always grateful for the people who make a difference in my life and make a difference for me. I think it has such a ripple effect when my life gets better. And I know this because so I was married in my earlier life and got divorced, and didn't think I would ever be married again, or have a reason to be married again. And then I met Michelle at the gym, our gym, which I'm so grateful for.
So great.
And she just was somebody who I was enamored with and in love with from the moment I met her, but I never thought I was so far out of her league that there's no way I'd have a chance of, dating her, let alone marrying her. So I was like, it's the craziest thing, furthest thing from my mind that could be possible. She, I courted her in a way that I didn't know I was courting her. I was very lucky and blessed that
Natural.
she was. Yeah, we would have these endless conversations after a workout at the gym and have. I'd leave there, my heart would be beating like crazy, and I'd be so happy that I got to spend that much time with her. And then I was blessed enough to have, come on in. So that's the thing about this is like an active conversation in the salon. So we have the active activity going on here. You're next over here too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you are. Beautiful job.
The
on
braid
hair,
master.
By the way. Yeah,
Oh.
very, very nice.
Oh, and curl
Very nice.
master. We were talking about how she's so good at braiding.
Yeah, that's a rare talent this day and age too, because not a lot of people do that.
Took me 33 years. I would just get so frustrated, and then my shoulders would cramp, and I'm just like, forget this. It's ponytail day. I'm like, I can't. But then I got it, and it was like the best.
Yeah.
It's so easy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, coming out of school, a lot of them don't want to do it or can't do it, or they don't have the ability to do it, but it's natural for her. So she's, she likes it too. So
Very talented.
she's one of the rising stars in our program.
Oh, yeah.
On her way, well on her way. So I was saying that how Michelle came into my life and radically altered my life. A lot of people said, "What happened to you? Like what got into you?" And
I'm in love.
yeah, in a way that I didn't know what love was or unconditional love was when I met her family, and that was what I was really exposed to that I had never been experienced before, was unconditional love, and just how much my life could be impacted, or how I felt like I was okay with who I am, not who I thought everybody thought I should be or who I should be. I was okay just being me, accepted myself because she accepted me just the way I was. She just loved me for who I was and not who she wanted me to be. So I saw how much that, that really, her whole family affected my life in such a huge way, and I'm forever grateful for that. And I live it every single day. And I'm much more aware of the impact that others have on me, and people who, we were talking about the bliss list, and people who bring me bliss or definitely add to my bliss list. And that's kind of how this sort of podcast evolved, was why don't we spotlight people who do that for others, who bring bliss to others? And I think that just sort of came to, as we were having this conversation today, that, oh, you're one of those people who brings bliss, and you do that naturally for other people.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's
so
kind
do
of your
you.
gift.
You do that for me.
Yeah.
It's just throughout this process. I was actually thinking about it on the way here. Like we've been coaching now for about a year already. It's actually hit.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
been hit a year.
Wow.
And you've brought that back to me, and we've tried different things, different challenges. One of my favorite stories of all time. You know what? I'll just go right into it. How, we hit a little bit of a plateau right around, it was the summertime, and you were like, I really need to hit this goal. And I'm like, okay, well, what can we do? Can we do some kind of bet? And it was a wager, and wagers do work.
Yes.
And you were a perfect example of how that worked out for us. But it was 2 months we had, right?
Yeah.
And you bet, you had to pay $5,000 towards the Biden administration. Otherwise, if you didn't lose 3.5% body fat, and you did it, and I had the check written out, I had the contract and the check that you wrote on my fridge, and I would look at it every single day before I start my day, and I'm like, hey, how are we doing? Because I'm sweating over here too. I'm like, oh my God, the Biden campaign, that'd be the worst. I would never be able to live that down. I'm like, we can't. I was like, this was way too stressful.
Yeah, I know. I didn't realize how stressful it was going to be for you too. On top of that,
please, of course. My God, rather stick my arm in a meat grinder.
Well, it was really good for other people too, because other people were definitely motivated to keep me away from food and to keep me on track with everything. It was great. Yeah. People were like, "You're not getting any. If I have to lock you in a room for a week, I'm doing it because you're not going to, cash that check."
One way to motivate, right? And sure enough, you killed it, and you hit different heights, and it started off, and then you lost more body fat. So it was just a really good kickstart to knowing that you could do it.
Yeah, and for me, that awesome. I got to have that negative motivation. I know some people say, "Well, I got to eat banana split when I'm something positive doesn't work for me. I need to have that negative." It did work, but more than anything, it was like you gave me a great structure to work around too. And the other thing that I thought was really great about that was you give grace for humanity, like for being human. So it wasn't like, oh, you missed this day or you missed this time. You recognize that you're dealing with human beings, and there's not this like perfect, disciplined, exact way to do it. Okay, you get these cravings at night, so here's what I recommend you do. Structuring so that you're eating before 7, and then try the protein powder with some berries and to curb the appetite. And you always had this sort of positive solution for whatever I was dealing with, and that works for me because. I think it's all or nothing. If I didn't do it exactly perfect every single week and every single day, that I've just failed. But you would have good course corrections for that.
Thank you for that. And helpful. I like to live by the 90-10 rule. A lot of people will say, oh, 80-20, but I really think that we should try to go for that 90-10, but live strictly, but then also be able to live a little. And if you want that burger or you want, your cheat meal, you have to have that. That's life. Otherwise you will fail. So it's this past Sunday, my dad's in town. I'm like, I'm going to have an ice cream sundae with him. Like it's worth it, So being able to still leave room for that, like you're human, but you are killing it on a daily basis. Every single time I see you, you're crushing it in the gym and you're following the guidelines, and it's working for you. But the main priority is always, once we got down the protein with you, I think everything started to change. As soon as you started to get 170 grams of protein in a day with your activity level, your composition just started to change. Which was really cool to see. I know when I just surrender to the coaching and just what you have to say, and then that's what works. So when I deviate from that, that's what that's where I run into trouble. Yeah. You mentioned your dad, and we didn't even talking about this, but I saw when I met him, when you had him in the gym that day, how you were beaming with pride and love, and you have a special relationship with your dad. I could see. I do. Tell me about your relationship with your dad, because I'm getting like all choked up because right before this he just drove me absolutely nuts. So, but I do love my dad very much. I love both my parents. They're like my best friends. They really are. So I just think he did a really good job. Your parents did a really good job on you. So I want to know a little bit about your relationship with him. Like it was special. I could see that. I mean, growing up, so my dad was a pro boxer, and my mom was also very into health and fitness. She was a model at the time, and so when I was growing up, when I was a baby, I would always see them at the gym. And I remember when I had to be like 4 or 5 years old. They were doing like headstand competitions next to each other and just talking trash and, and learning from that. They're no longer together, but they're best friends, which is very funny. But like they're actually hanging out right now by the pool. But awesome. It's just, I don't know. It's just things aren't black and white sometimes, but they are my best friends, both of them, so much. And I'm so proud of them. And my dad and I think that's where I get my competitive edge from, is my dad. He, growing up, we would always play, like race each other and everything like that. So we had a bet. I was in college and I was training for a marathon, and he said, you know, I may be getting up there in age, but I will beat you in any race, you know, and just name it. And I said, name the time and the day, old man. We got a deal. I'm like I thought I was like in peak shape. I was so excited. I had a graduation party that night and I was out until 4:00 in the morning. I did a keg stand that night. I'm just, and he heard about it. And in he came at 8:00 in the morning, and it was a 95-degree day. And he was like, "Today's the day." And I was dying, and I was like, "Fine, we're going." So it was like a 6-mile run, and he beat me. He got me on one hill, and my brother was like, "I'm gonna put money that Lara wins." So it was like a $10 bill or something like that. It's still in a frame in our house.
Is that right?
And
Really?
So that's a little bit about my family and the trash talk. It's like a New York thing where you just grew up like that in the Bronx, New York, and you know, it was always about just kind of like fun competitions like that.
Yeah.
And my mom just being like, "You guys are absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, I'm just gonna do my yoga and that kind of thing." But my mom's always been like super into health and fitness too, and you know, I definitely got her like, there's a bit of like the you know, there's the nurturing side of things that I definitely feel like she's inspired me a lot in those ways.
Yeah.
Huge animal lover, you know, so that's always like resonated with me too, you know.
So you had it from both sides, but different ways. You had it both.
More of the outgoing side from my mom, for sure. I'd say anyway.
Yeah. I could see the competitiveness coming out as you guys were doing the WOD together. I could see that.
It took me 33 years to get my dad to come to CrossFit with me, though.
Well,
actually, I guess I've done CrossFit now for like 15. So, but like come to the gym with me and work out with me. We would always go to the gym, but he's like, "I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
You know, he's just, I think he didn't want me to beat him in a workout. He had to stay in his lane of running, beating me. But yeah.
But
so.
he's just been athletic, always been an athlete. You grew
always
up
been
in
an
that
athlete.
world with
like
both your parents.
Yep. So he was always, you know, training for something up until I think it was when I was like around 7, he stopped competing, you know, fighting.
Oh, wow.
He stopped fighting because he was like, you know, I want to be able to see my kids grow up, my brother and I, and, you know, he was seeing a lot of people with their head trauma, a lot of the fighters, and he didn't want to go through that, you know, so.
Wow.
Decided to turn the page with it. I always told him, "You should be a coach," but he's like, no, I don't want to. Like, I think it was something like if he's in the ring, he wanted to be the fighter. But
yeah.
Well,
you have that. I was thinking about this last night. What it was unique about you, and it was that you have that competitive nature, extremely competitive nature. Because even in my little challenge with myself, you took it on as if this is the Super Bowl.
Oh, we were in that.
like 100%. Like, yeah. So
Absolutely.
you have that competitive spirit and being a fight to be a winner always. And you fight for your clients and as if, you know, this is a Super Bowl. Every one of these things matters. So
of course.
When did this expression of yourself start to brew inside you, like you being this coach for other people? And where did that come from? How did that evolve for you?
I actually, before, so I was actually in politics at a certain point. I'll get to that. But I worked at Louis Vuitton for 5 years in New York City. And I started a running club for 30 people, 30 of my teammates in the store. And so we would do that and compete. And we were training for a 5-mile run around Central Park. And I loved being their coach. It was so much fun. And we would have a lot of fun banter in the store about it. Like, and people would come up to me and say, "Larry, I did 20 push-ups unbroken today. I've never been able to do that." And seeing how proud they were of themselves, like I was just filled with pride. And I don't have kids. So I feel like in a way, this is how I am filled with pride, because I love to see the looks on their face when they are able to accomplish something that they never did before, you know. But I did get my certification when I was we were all locked up in 2020, and I just said, you know, I might as well. I've always loved this. Fitness has always been such a huge passion of mine. So that was when I decided to get certified. And then I was like, well, nutrition is something that is never really looked at. You know, especially now, everybody's like sitting on the couch and they're not getting out and then they're getting vaccinated, and that's also weakening their immune system. And I was like, so I also decided to get certified in the nutrition as well.
Wow. Yeah. And those are kind of two of the biggest factors in the obesity problem is one is the food intake and the sedentary lifestyle that people have. So those are the two things that are so critical for people. Yeah. So it started at in this Louis Vuitton circle was where it was.
That was the first time where it really ignited that passion, where I was like, wow, I could really do that. And so I did it part-time for a while I was in fashion. And then, I went down to open a store for Tiffany and Company. I was a manager there. And then that was when Trump was elected. And it was just a crazy time in DC. And,
that's where you were? You were in DC? Okay.
Yeah. And that was where it ignited my passion. Like, I always was very passionate about, our rights as Americans. I'm a big, passionate Second Amendment rights kind of person. I own many guns, and I feel like it's just not like I want to use them, but if I do have to, I know how, so it was a big passion of mine. And, I always would tune into all of it because it was like right outside of my store, and people would be coming in with Impeach 45 t-shirts on and all that stuff. And I was like, this is something, I mean, we can all have different opinions, but it was just very heightened at that time. And I was like, I think it's a calling to just get into it, which is when I decided to join a Republican lobbying firm.
So that was it while you were in DC. That's where that started. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
And that was just through networking and all that stuff in the city.
And that became a career for you. Or that became you left retail, or you left the fashion world for that. And then how did you meet Byron, and how did that all start? Because it was a part of it too.
Yeah. So when COVID, it's like I feel everybody went through this. It was just your whole life shifted. And mine, thank God, was for the best. It was definitely a different path. So my mom lives down in Naples, and we were all locked up in DC, and it was just
even more so in DC than here, right?
God.
DC was like real hardcore, right?
And you're like, I went out for a run one day, and I was getting yelled at for being double masked, for not being double masked. I wasn't wearing a mask at all. I was like, no, why would I cut off my oxygen? Like, right.
Outside.
And I was like, I called my mom. I'm like, I gotta get out of here for a bit. And I was working remote at the time, so for the firm. And then she's just said, why don't you come down? You're just working remote. You might as well just check it out. And I remember driving down, and I walked into Seed to Table, and I was like, I'm home. I gotta move here because I just loved it. I saw the Fourth Amendment rights on the board, and just kind of saying, no, you don't need to be masked here. And I loved Alfie's approach with just saying, like, we are not doing this, and just spearheading that in this area. And so many other business owners like yourself, which you weren't going to tolerate that. And even the gym, it was minimal that it was closed down for our Real Fitness, right? How long was it? It was like 2 months, I think.
Yeah, 56 days was our closure, was our mandated closure. And I remember on May 8th, when Governor DeSantis announced that we could open back up again in 3 days, and it was like the greatest moment,
right?
Because it was just such a scary time. And when he said that, it was like the floodgates. Thank you, God.
He always looks out. He's the man. But that's why I was just thinking to myself, if I am going to live in a place, I'll never do it, and I'll never live in another state that is going to, control me. There's hard enough things going on in life that I don't ever want that to be another thing again. So that's why I think Florida will always be my home.
I get it.
Because I just love it down here. It's a place of its own where you just don't have to worry about it as a small business. Governor DeSantis, thank God for him, because he looks out for us. So, so then that was why when I just was living here for a month, after that point, I remember just saying, I got to figure out how to do this. And I saw an ad for Congressman Byron Donalds. He was actually a candidate at the time, so it was a fundraiser, local meet and greet.
He hadn't been elected yet.
So I went to that night, and I just introduced myself, and I said, I do run fundraisers. This is what I do for the lobbying firm. I would love to bring that here. and, interviewed. And then 4 years later, I was working for him for about 4 years and doing his fundraising, but I was always coaching nutrition. And the personal training was also on the side. But then as the campaigning and everything else got bigger and bigger, I kind of put it on the back burner. But it was just always a thing to me. I just always loved to help people. And, with politics in today's climate, nothing against the congressman, he's awesome, but it's just very difficult because there's a lot of political moves that you can't really help all of the American people. So I love to help people. And that's why I decided to jump back into coaching and really back in May. So it's been, about 6 months, but it was a crazy decision because I'm sure you felt this way when you first started your business. It's like you jumping off a building and you feel like you just realize you can't fly. You know what I mean? You're like, oh my God, this is like a terrifying feeling. Like I'm really doing this, but it was like the best feeling ever, and thank God for the community too, because it was just, I really felt like God was forming a path for me. It was just like putting the right people in place like you and people that really supported me like Ann and Alex and Amy and Chandler and Selena. I mean, I can go on with the list of our community.
Awesome.
Gosh, they're all
Special
so amazing.
people.
And they really have been so helpful with this business. And now, I have about 40 clients. So it's been really busy.
Yeah. Well, it's such a natural thing for you. It's such a natural expression for you. It's like you got to be more of you. It wasn't like, I'm just going to go do this thing that's going to pay the bills for me. No, you just get to be you on fully and not have to go do something. Like it's a full expression of you all the way.
True. That is actually it. And I feel so beyond lucky.
Yeah. I remember when you were sharing with me, you had made this decision to make the leap and the jump from, which is a lot for anybody in any world. When you're the sole one responsible for all of it, there's a lot of anxiety and fear and worry and a lot that goes on behind that. So it takes a lot to have take that leap of faith and to make that jump. And I remember when you did that, but you had already built up such a network, or it's such a bond with that community of people. It was very easy. I remember you going through it because it was very easy I had no doubts.
Thank
you. I had
you.
no doubts because it was something that I didn't even know how you balanced it, whatever you did, because it always seemed like you were doing this fully anyway because you were so engaged in it. So it was a given for me that it would go the way it goes, and especially when it's so it's just a natural passion for you. I guess that's what I get. And that's what I understand about it. Because it's not like, I was talking to Stefan on the last podcast, and what he does is, like, I didn't even know what he did. We had met so many times, but I knew he just was out for other people. He was always out for the good of other people, just always where his heart was.
Right.
And that's the whole nature of this whole conversation that I want to keep going is like, all right, there's these people in this community that help others be more of who they are and grow in ways that creates that ripple effect that you affect me. I started talking about how Michelle affects me and has altered my life and made me a better human. I've been allowed to be who I am and be a better person, better version of myself that you day in and day out. And that's every conversation you're having is giving somebody somebody what it is that they is going to have their life go better and be better. So I loved seeing you grow and seeing this all come out of you and happen that way.
Thank you
awesome.
so much. I'm beyond thankful for it, and towards the end of politics, it was very draining for my energy. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck in that because they're like, okay, this is the 9 to 5. This is the, my benefits are here, everything else. And then they get depressed and they feel like they're on this rat race where that's all they can do. And then they just live for the weekend, and then Sunday scaries hit and you just get super depressed. And I'm just talking about myself. Like that would be how I was starting to feel. And now I like jump out of bed in the morning and I'm just like, I love what I'm doing. And I'm hanging out with my friends all day. I'm like, I just get to hang out with Robert. I get to talk to him for an hour about his nutrition and how he's doing and how Michelle's doing. And it's, it's just beyond what I thought it was going to be, you know, and it was very scary at first.
Yeah.
You know, I had 13 clients when I decided to make my move. And I was like, okay, I got enough saved. I'm going to do it. And I'm all in. You know, you have to, I was watching a thing on actually Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he is obviously a machine and he inspires me. And he's you just have to go all in. Whatever your decision is, you can't just have like a shoe in, you know, you have to like really make your jump. And that was an inspiration for me. I was like, you're right. Because if you're halfway in anything, in a relationship, in your nutrition program, in a workout routine or regimen, you know, you got to just say, I'm committing to this. This is going to be part of my identity now.
Yeah.
You know,
I see that a lot in the industry that I'm in the world of beauty and fashion and hair, with a lot of the stylists, because society has been programmed that youth needs to be on this one pathway, and it's to go to college. And there's so many talented people who love to do hair, but in the day, and it's evolving now, it's changing, but it used to always be, you know, parents would save money for their kids to go to college and get a degree, because that was where people just were, what people were supposed to do, no matter what their passion was. And, you know, they'd say, oh, if a hairstylist is, if you're just like fail out of school and you can't make it in anything else, go be a hairstylist. And really, one of the things I love about it and I see is that people get to, you know, the people who had to go on that pathway to get the finance degree or the accounting degree, and because their parents wanted them to do that, and then they end up in those jobs that have a certain level of security. They got a 401k, they got a health plan, they got 9 to 5, they got the 40 hours, but Sundays become treacherous for them. They're terrified. They're horrified, because at 12 noon on Sunday, they know that Monday morning I got to go back to this place that I got to do time, and they end up doing time for most of their life that they don't love, and they're not passionate about it. And I get to see it in this industry, because a lot of them had to fight their parents to go to hair school, and they had to like go against the grain to become a stylist. And when they get to express themselves and be a stylist fully and see what a great career it is that they can't wait to get out of. I mean, I love seeing that about this industry, and seeing the people in our family and the other people in this industry who get to fully express their creativity every day. They get to be with their friends. They get to alter lives by making people look good and feel beautiful about themselves.
I mean, you guys literally do that. You change somebody, you help them with their identity too, and make them feel beautiful. And it's so much more than just hairdressing. It's styling. You know, it's completely styling and transforming. You know, when I got my hair done by Kenzie, it was, I mean, I just felt like $1 million. And that was like, I was going through a really rough breakup, and I was really sad. And I came in and I went out and I was beaming after, and it literally made my month. You know, I just woke up every day and I was like, oh my God, my hair looks amazing. You know, it just makes a difference. And it's the same thing. Like, it's with health and wellness. You know, when you have more energy, you feel more strong, you feel stronger, you know, more, fit and everything else. It's same thing with beauty. It all goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I'm like, that song from Grease, I feel like that just totally ruined it with the beauty school dropout. I'm like, why did we have to make that stupid song? Because it's so not true. It's you should just be like, no, I'm an artist. Actually, it's not just a hairstylist. You know,
I am a real beauty school dropout though. I actually did drop out of beauty school. Honest to God, I swear, it's the truth. That song is me totally.
Beauty school dropout.
It's 100% real for me.
You should be one of the pink ladies.
3 months in. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. Really?
No kidding. Yep. That's
where was it?
So I went to school for computers many years ago, and I was working for ITT by the Space Center in Cape Canaveral. And when the space shuttle blew up, Challenger blew up in '86, I was laid off. That whole area got real depressed, and I got laid off. My father forever had been inviting me to come be in the business. He had the business and wanted me to be in this business, and I had never wanted anything to do with it because, I didn't have the natural talent for it. It wasn't something I was interested in at all. But I didn't have a job at the time, and you know, just to get him off my back, to say, Dad, look, I'll show you how it's not for me. I'll come back and I'll do this for you. And I came back and worked for him for a little while. And at the time, he had a program that it was a associate or assistant program where he developed the stylists from hair school into it was like a apprenticeship program is what it was. And he did not pay the apprentices. This was before the laws that you have to pay people that work there, but he didn't pay them. They worked only for tips. And he tried to woo me back, and I thought he would pay me at least, but he didn't pay me anything. I had to work only for tips doing shampoo, and started school, beauty school at Lorenzo there. You had to get a shampoo license first, which took 2 weeks to be able to shampoo, and then strictly working for tips to learn the business at the time. And I was in hair school for a couple of months, and it was funny because he had a great reputation. He was a phenomenal hair cutter, phenomenal hair designer. He loved haircutting, was passionate about it, was so good at it. He could look at a woman and know exactly what she needed. If she asked for something else, he'd give them what he thought they needed, not what they wanted. Like he would say, that's not for you.
This is what's in.
This is what's for you. You need this. And, you know, sometimes they were mad at him, but it was ultimately the right thing. But going to school, I went in and they thought that I would be this prodigy. I would be this great second generation. I was him, you know, when I went there, and it was a joke because, you know, I couldn't hold a scissors. I was so uncoordinated. I was so bad. It was really so bad. And they had this expectation like that, you know, you should be great. You know, you're his son. What's wrong with you? And I remember it was perm rods we were doing at the time, and pink perm rods were the real small ones, and you had to wrap up this entire head. Most people had it done within an hour. I was on the third rod on an hour. Like, it took me that long, and I knew, like, at that point, it was like, I'm never going to be able to do this. This is not for me. And so I dropped out of beauty school. You know, literally dropped out, and continued to shampoo and learn the business, and you know, worked for him in other ways. To get to know the business, and I shampooed and did head, neck, and shoulder massages for a long time, because that I could prove my worth until he could pay me something, because he couldn't afford to pay me, and then started to give him more time to do what he loved, which was hair cutting, and he could spend less time in the business. So I started to pick up some of the things in the back of the house to support him, and then he was able to do that, and we complemented each other well in that regard, because he could focus on what he loved, and then I could pick up some of the things in the back of the house. And I remember thinking that the business needed to be computerized, and it was like 1987, and they were like, my mother had this appointment book that was like paper, and it was, you know, 20 columns long, and would sit across the whole desk, and she was absolutely against computerizing anything, because they knew the way they knew it was just all, you know, by paper. And they went on vacation for a week, and while they were away on vacation, I bought a computer and installed a computer and computerized the business. My mom hated me. She was so mad at me when she got back for that, because you know, she just couldn't figure it out, like how the computers worked at the time. And later they ended up thanking me. But converting, you know, things like that to kind of bring it, put some systems in place and help them, you know, grow the business in different ways. And those were some of the things that happened. And so
what year was that, like, around?
When I put the computer in there, it was 1987.
Oh yeah, that was. They were like, "What DOS the hell is this?"
Yeah. Everybody was. It was like, yeah. It was very unusual to have anything like that.
Wait 45 minutes to turn it on.
Yes, yes, and then the
but look at you,
AOL
natural
dial-up.
Businessman right there. Well, that's so cool.
Yeah, well, it was, you know, I probably had a lot of what Dave Ramsey calls it, a stupid tax. I know I made a lot of big mistakes that I learned from anyway throughout the process of it.
We all do, you know. But that's what also makes you such an incredibly humble man. You know, that's one of the things that I always admire about you as a businessman. You always stay humble, but you're human, and you have such a big heart, and you're kind first before anything else. And that's why everybody out there loves you, and they have such a passion. They come in the door and they're like, I want to be the best for Robert too. You know, not only just for themselves.
Very, very kind. You know? I'm blessed.
No,
I'm blessed. I'm surrounded by some of the most amazing people. I'm very, very honored and appreciative that I get to be with a group of people that I get to be with. I mean, it's just, you know, they're a part of my bliss list, you know, that give me that vibe.
Oh, I can tell. You walk in, you feel that energy. And I love that picture of your dad right at the front door. That is just so cool to honor him like that.
Yeah, he,
you know?
That's one of my favorites too. And
it's so cool.
What happened was he passed in 2015, so he's in heaven looking down on us. But
what sure is.
What would happen, he was sick in his last few years, and he was at home, and he had been retired for a while, but what he would do is we'd still have these great conversations about business and about life. And he would send me a text, and it was a text emoji of a coffee cup. And it was his message to me to come have espresso with him on his back deck. And we would he would just send me that little emoji, and then I would go over there and we'd have our espresso on the back deck. So we'd always do things over espresso. And after he died, the year after he died, they had these machines, these great espresso machines that we were able to put in all the salons in honor of him, so that we could have espresso, cappuccino, and all the rest of those. So every time I'm here, I have my little espresso and always do my toast.
It's my
to
favorite.
Poppy.
That's the best.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. What a great way to honor him. And also, espresso is just better than coffee.
Yeah, it's my love. It's my love. I love it.
It is. And it's also just, it's important to be able to unplug for a second and have that for your staff, not just be like, you go out and get it yourself, keep grinding, like most business owners probably do. And then for you're like, no, I'm going to have everybody treat themselves to that in here. Yeah, that's awesome.
Even though they still like to go down and spend the $8 on the Starbucks down
Which
the
is
street.
ridiculous.
I know. It's got the Starbucks cup and it's got the little bit more drizzle on it. It's a little bit right. Yeah. 800 calories. I know. I watch people do that.
Hard pass. I know. I'd much rather that.
Yeah.
Any day.
I know. I got to work on that.
Mm-hmm. Anytime.
So it's perfect. You told me how you got to be who you are, because I didn't know that where you, like how this all came out of you, like where it came from, and I could now see it after meeting your dad just one time, seeing him that way.
Yeah, definitely.
But you, when you're not being. Because I always see you, when I see you at the gym, it's like, I just like, well, I watch you work out, and I see you perform basically when you're doing your own workouts. There's just such a level of perfection there, which there's a huge gap to try to catch. When you're not, so what is your comfort food indulgence? You mentioned ice cream with your dad, but what is it? What's your go-to when you're going to go off the wagon and indulge?
Honestly, ice cream. Like, I do love ice cream. I love, it's funny. Now I don't, when I do have a craving, it's usually for meat, and it's just like a big steak and a glass of wine, maybe a scotch. Like, that's kind of my jam,
Awesome.
But it's kind of fewer and further in between. Yeah. I think we were mentioning it a little bit earlier. It's like, I want to say 70% of my friends now don't drink. Yeah. And from that, I'm like, I actually am not really going, I'm not really in the mood for it. It's less and less, unless it's like with a nice steak or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I guess that really helps too, is supporting what you're committed to too, when you're not in a group of people who are, just all about that, or even if they're not all about it, they're indulging in it, once a week or whatever it is. But it's,
I do get the day off here and there. I don't feel like it's work anymore. I really don't with what I'm doing now. So I am coaching sometimes 7 days a week. And the last thing I want to do is be, breathing on somebody while they're working out, smelling like...
I could see how that could be an issue. Yeah.
Smelling like stale tequila. Like, that's just it's not the lifestyle. It just doesn't fit in now. Yeah. But I do love dark chocolate too. It's one of my favorite
That's the best chocolate
treats.
to have anyway, right?
It is.
Dark chocolate, right?
Riboflavonoids and the antioxidants that are in them, it's really good, releases serotonin in your brain. And so I always just like to think of your body as it's literally a machine, and you got to put something in it. And that's why actually my brand is called Challenger Fit, because I love muscle cars. American muscle cars are my favorite. And it's like, if you put crappy fuel in them, they're not going to perform properly.
Mm-hmm. You have an American muscle car, by
yes,
the way,
I do.
right?
A Challenger, actually. Her name's Margaret, named after my grandmother, because she's my hero. So, this is what I am so passionate about. And it's like, if you put that fuel into your body, and it's going to make you perform improperly, whether it's like any of your goals, your energy levels, you're not going to be as strong. You're going to be really fatigued in the gym, even when it comes to fertility. A lot of my clients right now are focused on that at this stage in their life, and they're looking into that. And it's just like, you have to put the right nutrients in, and it's not just, it's more than just eating healthy. It's like really going into having more beets, having more deep leafy greens, making sure your iron levels are good, you're not stressed, so it's a whole 360 approach. Yeah.
What could somebody who, is ready, they're thinking about it, but they just haven't taken that jump. They haven't done anything, but they know it's what they need to do. It's the right thing to do. They know they need to take care of themselves, but they just don't know where to begin. What would you say to somebody who, is watching this right now, but like, what could they do tonight and tomorrow to begin this journey?
I actually had a conversation just before this with my new client, because he's having trouble with just getting started, and the first thing I told him, I'm like, let's get a step goal in place. I want you to do 10,000 steps a day. I want you to go out and go for a walk. That's going to clear your brain, completely. And I also told him, starting every morning with affirmations, writing them down, because when you write, I don't really want him to type it. There's something about writing it on a pen and paper. Also, I have like whiteboards all over my house. Like, I think it's like A Beautiful Mind, the movie, like you just write everything out, because it's just having those affirmations in your mind of, even if it hasn't happened yet, getting it down of like what your goal is and just writing I am first. I think that's literally the first step to any program that I always like to get my clients in. And also going with protein. Protein is another huge thing. Like, before we even go into the workouts, necessarily, like, I mean, yes, you can do so much with dumbbells and kettlebells. There's like hundreds of different movements, but really prioritizing your protein, getting your steps in every single day, then naturally you're going to go for less of the junky food that you would usually be craving, because you're already satiated, And I mean, for the most part, calorie deficit is important. So I don't really like to focus so much on counting calories. I don't want people to have a bad relationship with food. And I think sometimes that's a setup for some of my clients that I've noticed. But if you are in a calorie deficit, typically you will start to lose weight. It just depends on what the goal is.
So it's not necessarily about, I mean, it could be about starving yourself, but if you're altering the food that you're eating,
exactly.
First step. So if you're eating, so you're satiated or feel okay, but if you're eating the right stuff. So if tomorrow, what would a sample day for the average Joe look like tomorrow on day one, without getting, without sending them into some type of shock to their system that they're not used to?
Definitely.
What would you say?
I mean, I'm a big fan of eggs. I think, having that in the morning, either that or starting with a protein shake. I love bone broth or collagen protein is my favorite right now, but I also love, there's a grass-fed whey protein I've told you about, Naked. If you have
Tastes
that,
great. Yeah.
And like, I make cold brew at home. I'll do that with half of a frozen organic banana. Going organic, that's always my thing, because I noticed a huge difference for myself as long as it's certified organic. So that would be one. Or gluten-free oats with berries, or eggs with some sort of green in there, whether, you want spinach, peppers, avocado. That would be like the perfect breakfast options to choose from. I also love the Egg Life wraps that I've told you about.
Oh, they're awesome.
Turkey, mustard on there, or a salad, a nice salad with, some sort of protein, like a salmon. Like salmon would be great, or grilled chicken. I do think that animal protein is the way to go. I know some people really do love the vegan diet, and I understand for animal purposes. I'm a huge animal lover myself, but there's ways of sourcing healthy, resourceful ways of protein, not like, where the meat is coming from and it's not stressed. So I would recommend that. And dinner would just be some sort of green. And, if you worked out that day, you had your walk, you could have a little bit of rice and fish or chicken. And you can have, I still say red meat is completely fine. But it depends on the goal. If they're looking to lose a lot of weight, maybe cutting it back to like 2 days a week. Guacamole is another great thing. Like, top that on there if you're still feeling hungry. It's a great filler, and it's good fats.
Good fat. Okay. Versus ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Oh, and also, I mean, carrots, grabbing carrot, like something that's really still rich in nutrients. Like, carrots are one of my favorites. Carrots and hummus, or celery, or I love shishito peppers. Those are one of my new favorite
No,
things.
what is a shishito? I think I
So
bought
it's
those
like
before.
they're spicy.
Okay.
They're little peppers, and you can get
Hot
a
as a
bag.
jalapeno? Hotter than
No,
jalapeno?
no.
Okay,
Oh
okay.
no, like mildly spicy, and
Okay.
I'll just throw it on a pan with ghee or coconut oil or a little olive oil,
Mm-hmm.
and then just put Himalayan salt. You put it on like 350 for about 15 minutes, and you have like a nice tray. I will literally eat the whole entire thing, and it's so rich with vitamin C. Great for this time of year when everybody's starting to get sick.
Yeah.
And it's just a good filler. Like I'll have that instead of reaching for chips. But yeah, so that's a good, easy, cheap meal that you could have with like some protein on the side.
Okay.
And that was it's $3 for a bag.
Oh, wow. Okay. Kurt, you were talking to me about this too, because there's nighttime cravings. Curbing that. You were talking to me about tea.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because heat expands your stomach, so it kind of tricks your brain to saying that you're full. So that was always a big go-to of mine. Actually, it started in college. I was like, when everybody was starting to have the hungry horrors, I was like, I'm just going to go for a nice seasonal tea or a sleepy time tea. And it knocks you out, and you feel, I feel satiated after I have a nice cup of tea. As long as I had enough of my micro and macronutrients for the day, I just have that at night instead. And it's a mindset thing. As soon as you start having that, you get used to it after a while, and you do start to change. I mean, it takes 30 days to cut it. Some people say 21 days. I'd say it's more on 30 days to really start seeing your whole body, your body and your mind alter with a habit.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So somebody could start tonight, right now,
yeah.
this minute.
That's a
Like,
great step. That's the best. And another tip is what we talked about too. It's just cutting meals off by 7:30.
Yeah.
Ideally, because you want 3 hours before bedtime, because then your metabolism tends to slow down while you're sleeping. So it really helps.
So you're resting
With
better
your-
then
yeah,
too. 'Cause
definitely.
Sleep is another component
Have some
of that.
nice ginger tea that helps with digestion, and you bought the sleepy time tea.
Yep.
And I love that stuff.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's psychologically or what it is with that. Whenever I
I know,
have that,
right?
I feel like I'm getting. It's
Oh,
working.
it's amazing. I love that stuff.
Yeah. So you, one of the other things that you're involved with, or that's has a place in your heart, is veterans or military. Those in the military. I know that you did an event recently that was. Like a boot camp on the beach
Yes,
is what it was,
yeah,
right?
for
Right?
Take a Soldier Fishing.
Yeah.
That was, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I'm planning to do it every single year with Collier County Sheriff's Office, Chief Hampton and Mo Deli. They were absolutely incredible. Oh, and Joe Fernandez,
Rich.
Rich.
Hampton.
Yeah.
I love Rich. Yeah,
Oh, he's the man.
Yeah.
That was one of the most moving things I've ever witnessed. I think I cried like every day, because it was just, you see all these veterans, they're coming in from actually they were active military and veterans came, but it was actually for active military, that event. Now they come in from all over where they're stationed, and a lot of them have PTSD, and this is their way, this nonprofit, it's their way of just giving back to these active military, all of our troops, to just be treated at the Naples Grand, this beautiful 5-star resort, which I love their whole team there. And it's so beautiful. So you see them, and this was the first time I got choked up. The first day when everybody was signing up, you see these veterans and the military troops, they're coming in and they're just like they've been stationed, sleeping in a sleeping bag, hearing shots being fired, and really in the trenches there.
Yeah.
And then they're in this beautiful resort for, 4 days long. And they have all their food, all their drinks, everything is treated. The rooms, everything's paid for. There's a beautiful banquet, that they had there in honor. And it was just, there were awards that were being given out to these soldiers that were just absolute studs. And so I had the honor of running their boot camp in the morning. And some of them decided they were going to go golfing, whatever. But so they had golf as an option, and fishing was the following day, which was so cool. And to start, we ran from the Naples Grand, holding American flags along the boardwalk up to the beach. And then we had a huge American flag flyover with the Collier County Sheriff's Office. That did that. It was so cute too. It was like a kettlebell was attaching the flag to the helicopter. It was awesome.
Oh, how cool.
And, then we had them break out into stations, and we did a lot of sandbag. I tried to replicate Hell Week for the military as much as possible.
Oh, cool.
Really gave them a good run for their money, I think. I think everybody had fun. And then we did a couple competition workouts, and followed by ice barrels.
Ice barrels?
Yeah, we had ice barrel plunges after, because it was so hot that day. We had power drinks and just like electrolyte recovery drinks there. Actually, Mo had some mimosas out too, and it was. And Kevin was wonderful too. He is with Hidden Summit, and he helped me so much with that event as well. So we partnered up to run the whole event, and we did like a Fight Gone Bad style, and it was really cool. I mean, honestly, that is what this eagle is on my shirt. It's like an eagle holding a barbell. I love this country. There's pretty much nothing more that I love, like my family and my country. That is, those are my passions in life. And that's why I just always want to symbolize that in my my business.
Yeah, I get it.
I think we're going to be doing one. I just haven't picked the date yet, but it's going to be for our veterans. Hopefully around Veterans Day is going to be a boot camp on the beach too. It's going to be open to the public. So it was really fun, and everybody can come. It's the weights. You can do no weights. You can sit out. You can have a mimosa. It's just going to be open to the public, and it's going to be a blast. Yeah,
great. I love that you do that. I love.
Thank you.
It's. Well, you're such a patriot, but also I love our country the same way,
Right.
and I have such a respect and love and honor for our military and those that that we just kind of take that for granted, like that they put their lives on the line for us always. And I wake up and complain that my mouse is slow, and they're in dodging bullets and at any moment could be their life is at risk,
in fight or flight, like constantly. I mean, and you don't realize it until you're like in this, and you just see all of them, and they're so grateful for this weekend, and they're giving their lives on the line every single day, and they honestly don't get enough credit. They never do. I saw it firsthand. So many stories working in Congress of veterans calling us, and thank God for some of my team there. Steph Newrock, she is a veteran herself, so she gets it, and she would literally go to their homes and help them if they needed to be Baker acted or something like that. Like they've really gone through a lot. And, it's, they deserve everything. So that's why anytime I can do a fundraiser for our veterans and our military, I'm all in on that.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. I love that.
Yeah.
And, we don't, if there's not some presence of it in our lives, it kind of just gets pushed aside. I don't think about it actively.
Oh, yeah.
It's like something that keeps that alive and keeps it, to continually honor them and who they are. We did an event here, a few years back where Karen Vaughn, who's the mother of Aaron Vaughn, who was killed in Afghanistan in a helicopter, and he was from Florida, and Karen lives in the other coast, and she was doing an event for Gold Star Wives, honoring the wives of those who've lost a loved one in the military, honoring the families of, and we had maybe 10 or 15 of the Gold Star wives come in. They came to this coast for the day, and or actually several days, and they were honored and loved and appreciated, and they came in for a makeover in the salon.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And it was the most moving experience of my life, to these women who have sacrificed their loved one. They've given their loved one.
Yeah.
And some of them had little babies that they never met their dad and never will. But
heartbreaking.
They were the most grateful, appreciative, loving, kind souls who had literally for our country given up their
of course,
their partner, and their partners, in heaven, good, doing, looking down on us, and
Right.
and they're here and have to go through life now that way without that person. But that's the ultimate sacrifice.
It is
really,
the ultimate
such a
sacrifice. And it's so true. It's like everybody involved, all, for families as well. Yeah. That is so cool that you did that.
Yeah.
When was this?
It was a few years back. We had Karen put it together, and she's very, very involved with taking care of those in the military. She's very active, losing her son, and she put the whole thing together. And a lot of people in the community, Lois Bowl, a lot of people in our community, Commissioner.
Lois Bowl.
Yeah,
I know her.
She was involved in that, and a lot of people that did great things for that. And we were just honored to be able to have them here and to just appreciate them just the same way I am about veterans and first responders and all the people who do so much for us in the background. So I love that you do that, and we're here to support you whenever that happens again.
Yes,
we'll be there
absolutely.
and be a part of it.
As soon as I lock in a date with the sheriff's office, I'll definitely let you know.
Yeah, whatever it is that you do for
great.
that. And Zach, you have some video of that too, right?
Oh yeah.
So if you could put in the video,
sure.
In here too, so people can take a look at
see
what
definitely.
that is. I want to see that helicopter flying over right now.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Doing thunderstruck to burpees. Everybody's like, how many times does it say thunderstruck in the burpees? Yeah,
on the
in
beach.
The song. Yeah, it was great. Got really sandy and sweaty.
Yeah, I was
can't wait to do more.
I remember I remember seeing a little clip of the video.
Well, it was hard because we did it on a Friday because that was when the schedule worked for the troops.
Yeah.
But next time, when it's on a Saturday, I think we'll get a way bigger turnout.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there were still 73 people that showed.
That's awesome.
So that was insane. I'm like, we're going to need a bigger boat, like for the next one. I'm excited. Thank you.
Zach, do you have the Philly words? So I'll tell you what this is. This is a segment that we do. So this is. Oh,
I love this already.
So for people who are from the Philadelphia area, there's these communities in the Philadelphia and surrounding area suburbs that are named these very awkward, odd words, and anybody who sees them from another area and they just don't sound like they look. How to word them. So for fun, for those that are from Philly, we are going to show you the words and have you
read them out loud.
Say what they are.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. Okay,
so
bring
it's
it.
not to embarrass you. Everybody's the same with this, okay? So here's your first one.
This is so hilarious. Conshohocken.
Pretty good.
Oh, God.
Conshohocken is
Conshohocken. Okay.
But yeah, you got the closest I think of anyone has.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you did good.
Conshohocken.
Yeah. These are real places in,
oh my
in the Philly
God.
area.
Manayunk.
Wow, you nailed that one right
Really?
off. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. My grandfather was from there.
I think it's also maybe my New York accent. Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that flowed real good.
Right. Ballas Sinwood.
Kinwood is
Kinwood,
yeah,
okay.
But Sinwood, that's usually what people go with.
Yeah.
All right, now here's the big one.
Oh, God. Shilkill.
Schuylkill.
Oh my God, I was so off. I was like,
well,
like
SCH, I know. It looks like that's right. That's how you should say it, but
how
it's not
it
how
again?
they Schuylkill.
Schuylkill.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a river.
So these are all, the river.
That's a river.
Schuylkill.
The other ones are areas. So the river and yeah.
That is awesome. I love
so
it.
Philly people will get a
Philly
kick out
pride.
of that. Yeah.
Amateur hour over
crazy
here.
words. Yeah.
It's so fun.
We did so much and covered so much. It went way more beautiful than I ever imagined. So thank you for sharing your soul with everybody.
I'm so
here.
honored. And I just love hanging with you any day. So I really appreciate you.
Yeah, it's like I just got lost in our world
I know,
over
right?
here. So
I just felt like we were back in the gym, just chatting
100%.
as usual with our heart to hearts.
Yeah.
Day. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything. Seriously.
Of course. No, my
You're
pleasure.
one of the people that really have awakened my soul with coaching and how much I love it. And I'm just really lucky that you've been put into my life. So thank you for everything.
And just more I want to keep doing whatever I can to support you because you're making the lives better of the people around you and around me. So it makes my life better when those people are better too. So thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And your hair looks amazing, by the way.
Oh my God. She did amazing.